Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, good to see you again. Congrats on your finishing up a really important tour in the Indo-PACOM region and your next very important billet. Wanted to commend you and then ask some questions about our Arctic cold weather, high altitude operations. You played a really important role in the Army's recent Arctic strategy. And, you know, when you look at great power competition, oftentimes, at least in the last several decades, Korea has been a key area of that, with Russia, with China. But it's also, when you look at our great power competition, the likelihood of some kind of conflict in a cold weather environment, whether it's North Korea, somewhere in Russia, somewhere in China, Ukraine. These are all things that I've been concerned, and I know you share it, that we've lost that capability to have large-scale, consistent military operations in these very difficult areas in which to operate. Mountainous, extreme cold weather. You know, we recently celebrated the 70th anniversary of the Chosin Reservoir battle last December, and that was a very tough battle the Marines and Army took part in Korea, with the Chinese, with the Koreans, 30 below zero. Given the Republic of Korea's physical environment, what is your perspective regarding the Army's Arctic strategy and other forces and our capability to fight tonight in those kind of climates?
Thanks, Senator. Thanks for the time, and I trust you enjoyed your visit this past weekend. As we've discussed in previous meetings, that we have fought and operated at altitude and in cold weather in Afghanistan over the last almost 20 years, but it's not in the depth as I sit in my current position in the U.S. Army Pacific. And the forces in Alaska were coming, they were doing their training center rotations in the wintertime, so we weren't really getting the reps and sets that we needed to truly understand what that capability is. General Abrams and his forces, I mean, the Koreans are, born and raised on the peninsula, so they truly understand it, and they have that opportunity. So I have no doubt that they're prepared, but it's the follow-on forces that we need to make sure that they have the proper equipment and training to be able to operate.
How important is it that we not just have the Army's Arctic strategy out there and the Air Force's Arctic strategy and the Navy's Arctic strategy, but to actually implement them? The Secretary of Defense, in his confirmation hearing, said he would fully resource these strategies. How important is it that not we just fully resource, but implement what the Army has worked on? And I think it's a very good beginning.
It's important, given in my current role as the U.S. Army Pacific Commander and the different environments. We've been used to a very, stable is not the right term, but, desert environment, and but the Indo-Pacific region has multiple different environments, and our soldiers need to be prepared to operate, and along with our other service members in the Joint Force.
Let me ask, I just hosted the Indo-PACOM Commander Admiral Aquilino in Alaska this weekend. We were finishing up Northern Edge, which was a very impressive exercise. Over 240 aircraft, an entire Marine Expeditionary Unit, and an ARG, an entire Navy carrier strike force. And of course, it highlighted some of the forces in Alaska, the 425, the 1st Stryker Brigade, soon to be over 100 5th-gen fighters. What force posture capabilities do you think are needed or missing in Alaska now that relate to your mission on the Korean Peninsula? As you know, those forces are probably some of the closest to the Korean Peninsula of any we have in the entire region, regardless of where they are on the international date line. Do you have a sense of that and the training capabilities that, as we are restrained still on the Korean Peninsula, the ability that was just shown by Northern Edge at J Park and other places, it could be phenomenal training for our forces on the peninsula, including the Koreans, including, heck, even the Japanese, as they sometimes work together in Red Flag, Alaska.
Yes, Senator. What we have in Alaska could be used, whether it's the Strikers or the Airborne Brigade that's up there. As the
Used on the Korean peninsula.
Yeah, yes, sir. As we look forward to the future on what the formation will look like, I think the environment on the Korean Peninsula can help inform the Army on any changes or modifications that they want to make. That's for Alaska. But I think in the continental U.S., we have another reach back capability. I think it would be important to bring them through Alaska to train for that environment that they may face on the Korean Peninsula.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.